Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I am doing another Gigguk reaction today because it's about Frieren, and I love that show. I don't get a lot of chances to talk about it, so I'm going to do it here. Let's get into it.
Time.
Time.
The precious commodity that
It is
everyone
relative.
takes for granted. Time.
Actually, I want to put on some subtitles here in case you guys didn't want to read it.
Cheesy way to start off this video. I'm sorry. I know like 10% of you are on
Whoa. Too graphic, Gigguk. Too graphic for me.
Another 20% of you were probably having lunch when I said that line. Frieren is one of the most popular anime currently airing and is on most people's short
It's well deserved. Well deserved.
Shows that started airing last year. The story of a functionally
sure.
immortal elf girl who truly regretted the time she didn't cherish with the people she was with and has to come to terms with what the passage of time means for her.
I will say, so I've seen his one on about Frieren beforehand of how like amazing it is, and like we did the manga one. Oh, beautiful. But that first episode, that was so good. But they're in the mage trials or whatever it's called thing, so now it's like a lot more characters, lots more stuff going on. I am more a big fan of just like the whole journey that they've been going on at the very like first probably half of the season. I'll say probably even a little bit more than that. It's not bad what's happening. I think it's cool, and it's just part of the journey. It's not like my favorite moments, let's say.
As the series has gone on and I've gotten to experience more of the story, past even what I had initially read in the manga,
okay.
Scratches the surface of what Frieren has to offer and the tale it is evolving into.
Yeah.
That alone would not have been enough to keep its throne as the top-rated anime of all time.
I mean,
for so long.
yeah,
that
true.
Alone would not have been enough to start its own cultural phenomenon here in Japan. That alone would not have taken one of the most poignant original series to come out in years and had every single aspect of it looted by so many.
Oh my gosh, what? I'm gonna do some research real quick. Hold on. Ooh, I like that. I have not seen any of the Rule 34 for Frieren. I did not need to know this, Gigguk. Oh my gosh. Even though it's not my favorite part of the story where it is, it's definitely a way for it to evolve. Like, we couldn't have just been dealing with this whole thing of like her figuring it out, you know, and who she wants to be all the time, and now we're seeing it through other characters' eyes, and other characters are interacting with her and seeing how such a old, you know, mage is able to, you know, be so powerful and wise, even though she's really not. She's kind of still like a innocent kid almost sometimes, even though she is so old.
Wants to revisit Frieren because now that the anime is coming to an end, I've seen it evolve from a series with a unique concept and a hard-hitting beginning to an all-around masterclass in the fantasy genre that seems to be doing just about everything. A proper old-school fantasy adventure, lessons that hit deep, emotional moments, romance, the bloody tuning exams.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, it's like the tuning exam. It's just such a trope now, like in just anime everywhere with like, I mean, obviously there was stuff that did it before Naruto, but it's just like a tournament arc, you know, kind of some exam arc is always like such a big thing. And I didn't think it needed it, but I do enjoy it. I'm not saying that it's bad.
This show is doing it all, tying it all back to that one thing, time. Because it is time to talk about today's sponsor.
Oh, okay.
Which is currently
We are not doing that, sorry.
Account, log into the game to get permanent access to the crossover or Google Play Store. Let's get back to Frieren. Coming into the Frieren anime, I already knew how hard the beginning episodes were going to hit from my experience with the manga.
I want to read the manga once I finish the anime.
The eyes of a long life being and hit like a truck looking for its next isekai protagonist. But the
okay, I need to turn this down. This is like so loud.
Big, humongous Frieren burger-sized question mark was, where do we go from here? Having the story start at the end of another story is a cool idea, but how do you make that interesting?
Make a new story.
I've seen plenty of series that have presented this really cool concept, said what it needed to in the opening episodes, and then failed to capture the emotional piece.
Damn, is he really hating on... Okay, Zom 100, granted, yes, it kind of fell off a little bit. I still enjoyed it. I don't know about To Your Eternity. I haven't seen Okinoko yet. That's on my list. I'm kind of saving it. I know I'll enjoy it though. I know what the problems are with it though too also. But I don't know. I don't feel like that way with To Your Eternity. Maybe the second season wasn't as great. The first season I felt like was amazing all the way through. I loved it. Second season, yes. The first half wasn't as strong. But the last half, I don't know. I thought that was really cool, and I can't wait to actually see where the next season goes. That's my personal opinion. I haven't seen Komi-chan either, so...
I don't even think it's the best show of the year. I would argue that it might not even be the best show of the season.
He did not say that about Frieren.
I am never wrong, except when I am absolutely wrong. So let's break down just how wrong I was. Frieren's opening was so strong that it had the Vinland Saga effect.
Also another anime I need to still watch. I want to do a reaction possibly if you guys want to see Vinland Saga. I don't know what happens.
Introductory baseline for the real oversized meat plate of the story to come. What the fuck is up with all these characters eating comically large portions of food? But the question remains, where do you take a story that takes place in a world where the main story has already ended? There's this one masterclass where Aaron Sorkin, the writer of A Few Good Men, Social Network, West Wing, talks about
intention and an obstacle.
Characters need an intention, a goal they have to achieve that can't just be a small want, but a strong need. We need to defeat the demon lord or the world will end. I need to invent the nuclear bomb or the Soviets will do it first and the world will...
Stop.
The stronger the need for this intention, the better. And to counteract that, you have the obstacle.
Yeah.
The thing that prevents the character from achieving what they need to. An impossibly powerful final villain.
I gotta say, it's crazy how impressive he, like, all the freaking references he makes. I want to, like, comment on all of them, but we're only 5 minutes in, so I don't want to make this video too long.
That journey will be. Break down a lot of TV series and movies.
Okay, I haven't.
Core components, and you'll probably see this framework in action.
Nice.
Watching Frieren made me realize that barely any of this applies to her journey. She has a vague intention.
So I think this is like one thing where it's like, look at our lives. Okay, so there's this genre. Hold on, sorry. There's this genre in literature, right, called magical realism. You take a very mundane premise, like just a regular guy that's a salaryman going to his job back and forth. But then, all of a sudden, something magical happens. Let's take the Metamorphosis, for example. Alright, there's going to be a spoiler in case you haven't read it, but it's by Kafka. Amazing. This salaryman just wakes up one day and he's a bug. And then it just kind of goes through that, and it's literally just, it's just more about the symbolism and the metaphors that are being represented of that transformation. But it just deals with his home life, but it's still something so powerful and impactful. Haruki Murakami is one of my favorite authors, and he does magical realism so well. That's what I feel like Frieren is, almost, except it's in a fantasy setting. You're taking, it doesn't always have to be, oh, the end of the world, this super impactful, you know, cataclysmic thing that's just so grandiose. It doesn't have to be that. We're just normal people, and all of us have this thing, this obstacle, and it could be something so small, like in your promotion to your job, or, you know, just the things that we worry about in life. And that's what Frieren is. And I mean, that's kind of what the whole, I mean, there's more fantastical stuff that happens in Frieren, but I feel like it kind of represents the magical realism genre in a sense where it's more just about the mundane, everything's happening in life. But then you come across this crazy thing, like, you know, she's on a journey to try to understand humans more. But along that way, one of her best friends is dying and then has to take on an apprentice. And part of that is teaching her how to deal with, you know, demons and stuff like that. I feel like Frieren does a great job with the whole mundane aspect that just kind of hits home for everybody, you know? These are just things that we deal with on an everyday basis. And that in itself is almost more impactful than these crazy, you know, goals of like, oh, I have to save the world. That's just not going to relate to anybody because it's just very few people are in that position.
This mythical place that may or may not exist, so she can say goodbye to her old party. But it's not something she needs to do. The world's not going to end if she doesn't, and she can still go about her life if she fails. There are some obstacles. A snowstorm that stops their travel for a month. A qualification she doesn't have in order to pass to a new area. But it's never something you think she can't overcome. And what that means is that instead of obstacles on the journey, you have stops.
Yeah.
A lot of stops. It's not even a journey anymore. blocks, a fucking London bus route. If you've ever watched a show and felt like the pacing was off, or what you're watching feels like, for lack of a better term, filler, most of the time it's probably because the series has spent too much time on a detour that deals with a certain obstacle or something and not progressing towards that final intentional goal. But by omitting any goal that feels immediately urgent, Frieren makes it all about those detours.
Frieren is literally detour the anime. But the thing is, like, with it, it never feels like a detour. It all just feels like the things that you come along and encounter in life.
Whether you're spending too much or too little time in a certain place or a certain site,
it has good pacing for sure, I will say.
And it's in the moment.
Yeah, that just
that the show wants to keep you. This show is all about living in the present, appreciating the time as it is now instead of regretting the past or being blinded by the future.
Yes.
And what drives this message home so strongly is the characters. Frieren's whole spiel is that she's this long-living elf that doesn't really care about what's going on because whatever happens will have a minuscule effect on her overall life, but strip that all away and you just have a girl that is disconnected from the world around her. The way she acts is reminiscent to the character trope I probably despise the most in anime.
Oh.
It's the characters.
Oh god, yep.
This. Hello.
I will say, I don't like that trope that much. But Frieren doesn't feel like that. At first, maybe, right? But she progresses. I'm sure he'll get into that. Okay, Violet Evergarden did a great job. I feel like. There was a lot more background and whatnot. I never found her character. Violet Evergarden is definitely one of my favorite animes. I'm sorry. It's beautiful. Story is amazing. Made me cry several times.
I'm sure there are a lot of you out there that can relate in some way of having a calm personality that gets perceived as being stoic. But all too often, instead of feeling like a human, these characters feel like an android devoid of all emotions. Fuck, a lot of kudereis are literally androids devoid of all emotions. And as someone who's introverted and is perceived by a lot of my friends as someone who stays calm.
Wait, so...
What? What? Most of the time, there is nothing I can attach to with these characters. The difference with Frieren is that she clearly has emotions. She gets happy, annoyed, sad, and regretful in her own way. She's not emotionless, she's just emotionally distant.
I agree with that. I agree with that assessment.
Emotions are and feeling things for the first time.
And I think that's more relatable to other people too.
To value those moments when you do, and being more mindful about the emotions the people around you have. And you don't need to be some immortal elf god to be able to relate to that. One of the early scenes that really hit me was when Frieren had a flashback of a party devastated they'd missed the sunrise.
That was a great,
It's just a bloody sunrise. But then, decades later, she has the opportunity to experience that same sunrise with Fern, who miraculously somehow was able to drag her out of bed to see what all the hubbub was about. And then they do. And it's beautiful. And Frieren's still like...
she's just like, it's whatever. This is so beautiful, because I've actually had this in my own life. As a kid, I never cared. Sunrise or the sunset, I was like, okay, it's cool. You know, like, it was just more about my grandparents. Like, they liked watching it. But, you know, I've come to like it now, and I love it, and it's beautiful. But now it just kind of reminds me of those times I spent with them and watching that. And that's kind of what's the most important part, I think. Is it doesn't always matter what you enjoy and the things that you like, right? It's more so about enjoying the things enjoying the things with people that you really care about, even if you don't like that thing.
Then she finds herself enjoying the experience. Not because she suddenly got some newfound appreciation of this sunrise, but because she got to share the moment with the people around her.
He worded it so much better than me.
God damn, if this
yes,
is so real.
it's so relatable.
I've done something I never would have myself, because I've had some mates fucking drag me out when I'd rather be doing nothing but staying inside playing some dumbass video games. And then it turns out that it's these moments that we still talk about and remember fondly when we hang out. Hey, remember that time when we decided to go camping and there was a thunderstorm and it was wet and everyone was fucking miserable, and then Russell ripped the fattest fucking fart of his life that overpowered the sound of the thunder, and I swear to God,
okay, Gigguk, too much.
But beyond Frieren, you also have two people who are not impossibly old like.
So you're able to relate to them a little bit more too than just Frieren.
For the opposite reason. because they're the fucking consumers of the world, or whatever that equivalent is. You can tell they lack emotional maturity in dealing with other people. Like, for example, instead of communicating her anger and frustration in a way, Fern just bottles it all up and leaves everyone else to figure out what's bothering her, which she expresses in the most adorable bloody pout face possible. Alright, I'm just saying, if I was there, I'd definitely make the situation 10 times worse, because I just want to look at
be
her
like,
ooh, cheeks and go, but it's in that process of emotionally maturing that we get one of the best romance
yes,
I've seen in a
thank
very
you.
long time. I did not get into this type of show for any kind of romance, nor did I expect it to have one.
Oh my god, okay, calm down. I don't know if he'll touch on it, but the flashbacks, look, a chronological story is boring. It just is. And this is probably one of the biggest problems with a lot of isekai, is it's just chronological. It's like, oh, transported, then we go on quest to quest. That's just not interesting. If you read any engaging story, it's not chronological. Yes, there's sequences, but you have the flashbacks. You have things happening out of sequence. Let's think about a couple shows. Game of Thrones. Not everything, you're jumping around a little bit, right? And you're going back, oh, there's this story. Now there's this past. You're discovering this. Or The Witcher, season 1 at least, all right? That was amazing because you're literally in 3 different people's stories all happening at different sequences in time, then interconnecting. That is so interesting. Or here in Frieren, we start at the end of the journey. Then we go on this mundane, yes, we're traveling forward. But there's always this small moment that shoots back to when Frieren was with the hero's party.
I want to gush about it a bit. When I see romance in anime, especially if it's some kind of romance subplot in a wider story, I often feel a lot of times can feel really clunky and inorganic. Characters will go about their
Shonen does a really bad job of this, for sure.
Indication there's any romantic feelings, sometimes having negative chemistry, for the series to suddenly sprinkle in this random scene that the girl realizes she has feelings for the protagonist, and it doesn't seem like that friendship kind of feeling, but the feeling she might just want him to canoodle that booty.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting there being like, alright, yes.
Yeah, it's like...
It's reasons like this that a fan base can have debates and arguments on who they ship with who, what 2 people they want to...
I can't believe I ended up as Sasuke Uchiha. If you missed the stream, I did 5 different quizzes. I did one, see what anime character I ended up as. I'm Sasuke, and I don't agree with that.
Couples could work because the story has not done the groundwork to properly set any of them up.
They're all equally shit.
But Frieren manages to weave this blossoming relationship into its storyline that feels so natural.
Yep.
Right from the beginning, you can see that there are no mutual feelings. In fact, the 2 struggle with understanding each other while they are adventuring.
I shipped them immediately as soon as I saw them. I was like, it's a boy, it's a girl, it's gonna happen.
Surely start to understand,
But,
accept
yes.
small quirks.
They're very cute.
The other person, and most importantly, actually have banter and some chemistry with one
Just
another.
slowly,
Like
yeah.
everything else it does, the series actually takes its time to lay the crumbs down.
And that's how it should be. That's how relationships start. It's slow build-up. You don't immediately just like somebody. Yeah, sure, you find people attractive, maybe. But that's not the connection that keeps you with somebody. It's the more deeper emotions that you get. And that you find the little quirks, the little things that click, the things that, even the stuff you don't like about somebody, kind of feeds into why you want to be with someone.
Through nothing but pure visual storytelling and micro-expressions, you can see the exact moment Fern's view towards Stark shifts from a companion to a crush. The way her facial expression changes from nervousness to comfort to finally happiness. You don't need 2 pages of internal dialogue to spell out exactly what she was feeling.
Oh my gosh. That was such a beautiful scene. That whole dance scene.
No matter what Frieren tries, this show just does not seem to miss. Did I mention how hard the series goes in its action?
Dude, its action is so insane. I did not expect that from it. Yes. Like when Gigguk first mentioned this and I was like watching it, I was like, okay, I'm prepared for like a little just kind of slice of life moe thing. No, this is action too. The action hits so hard and it's so beautiful, so good.
Right now we're going through a bloody tune-in exam arc, and when that got introduced I was like, huh, is that the right vibe to go for here? And yet, even in this action-intensive arc, it never feels like it forgets its identity, even with all these new characters being...
I agree.
Will have something distinctive to say that ties back to the learning experience our party is going through. There is so much more I could talk about. The world building, the magic system, Evan Cole's godly soundtrack, the absolute coldest moment we got to see last year. But what I want to end with is Himmel, who is aptly named, because he is just him.
But Himmel is, I feel like, the perfect representation of just the good protagonist that you want to see in a fantasy or a shonen story, you know, even. He's got good intentions, and he's funny and quirky, but he doesn't overdo it. Like, he's not, you know, overly naive. Sometimes he is, and he makes those mistakes. And that does happen in the show. He actually learns and develops and becomes a better character, a better hero from it. And his little romance with Frieren, too, oh, it just makes it so much sadder when you think that, like, or when, I mean, he's, you know, this is a spoiler, but it happens literally in the first episode. Like, he's gone. He's passed away. And Frieren just remembers the times that they shared. And I don't even know if she ever... Well, she probably knew that he liked her. And I think that's probably one of the reasons that she regrets it so much, too. That, I mean, and for her, you know, like, as elves, it's probably just not... They aren't very romantic and have no desire like we do as humans to do so. But I think she regrets that, too.
Even though his character essentially only exists in flashbacks outside of the beginning, you can feel his influence in every action that Frieren takes, every lesson she learns, every time she grows as a character. And I think what makes him such a great character is that he just feels like a dude. Himmel epitomizes what a true hero should be. Not because he saved the world or defeated the Demon Lord, he's just a guy who tries his best to leave a positive influence wherever he goes. He's the friend we all want, the role model we want to be. He's charming, he's charismatic. He is the embodiment of everything the story tries to remind you of. I don't think it's a coincidence. This story has hit so hard for so many of us and become the mega hit.
He's just a good guy. And it's not overly naive or incompetent. He's just a good person and tries to leave that mark on the world.
And things you should care about. It sometimes feels like you don't want to care about anything, or at least you're exhausted about doing so. So seeing someone as emotionally distant as Frieren learning to appreciate and understand the people around her is such a powerful reminder of what we should be valuing in our own lives. Frieren doesn't preach anything we don't already know. It's about the journey, not the destination. You shouldn't take for granted the time you're given. We've heard these so many times in our lives that they can turn into cliches in our heads and forget how true and valuable these lessons are.
I'm not gonna cry, I swear. I'm okay. No, I like that last message at the end there is sometimes we get told just something so simple like that, you know, you need to value your time or don't judge a book by its cover, but we're such simple and forgetful creatures. It's insane. Like, we can literally be told that and then turn right around and do the exact opposite. You don't really understand those types of life lessons until it happens. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed that reaction to Gigguk. I know I talked a lot. Let me know your guys' own opinions. You know, I love discourse, but I love having conversations and different views on things. If you guys agree, disagree, have your own takes on stuff, let me know down in the comments below. And, you know, go watch Frieren if you haven't seen it. Alright.